What is up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast.
All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Creative Rest Podcast. Today we have Brodie McDowell.
Of our very fun friend,
and
Brodie.
Brodie's got a little bit of nerves right now. How you feeling, bro?
I'm shaking.
You're not looking there. You're looking there. That's your camera.
I'm back and I'm shaking. No, it's good to be here. I'm so good at this stuff, man. It's great.
Brodie is our fun friend from New Zealand. He is a wedding photographer. He actually does a few things that we're gonna get into.
Ooh.
But you guys are gonna love this because one, Brodie's fun. We love having fun guests on the pod. But we
have two friends named Brodie, and they're both super fun.
They are two good Brodies.
Brodie's a good name.
What
Yeah.
Brodie is better? We've all been wondering.
Since you're sitting in this chair right now, but as soon as he's sitting in this chair,
Yeah,
it'll be
you're
him.
only better right now because he's not here.
Yeah, let's add him.
There you go. There you go.
Dude, welcome to the show. We can't wait to chat with you about your career. And
Big career.
prior to recording, what did you just do?
I just submitted an offer on a house in New Zealand that I've never seen before.
So you're here. Brodie's here
I'm
in
here.
the U.S.
He
in
shot
California.
2 destination weddings,
He
one in
keeps-
Canada and one here in California.
Yeah, you
Back
keep
to back.
applying. You keep trying to buy houses. You keep getting turned down.
Yeah, I just not. I'm
They
not,
don't like you.
I'm not talking about how successful my business is because I've clearly not been able to win a home yet. But
So
we are
he's-
hoping
He's also
to
from
that.
New Zealand, so he's going to put himself and his business down about 100 times being on this
Yeah.
podcast.
But you just submitted an offer for a house, and it's a pretty good offer.
It's a
so we
great
just were
offer.
helping you write your little note to the seller,
Yes.
trying to.
So it's
Trying
a
to,
big
I'm
day
trying
for
to trying to
Brodie.
rizz up the vendors. Let me buy your home.
He's risen him up. Okay, Brodie, we always start with our guests, rapid fire questions. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Yeah.
Okay, great. First name. First question. What's your name and where are you from?
My name is Brodie, and I'm from a place called New Zealand, Tauranga, New Zealand.
Tauranga.
Yeah.
We've actually
Tauranga.
been there. We visited Brodie in New Zealand. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
So good.
Brodie, how long have you been running your creative business for, and what is it?
I've probably been running it for 2025, maybe like 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah.
I think I finished Muskoka Woods.
It was prior to COVID.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't.
It's got to be at
So maybe
least
like 6 years?
At least 6 years.
Yeah, maybe 6 years.
Yeah.
Love it. And what is your creative
Yeah,
business?
what do you do?
I'm a photographer, mainly weddings at the moment.
Crushing it.
I didn't
with
start with
weddings.
weddings. I started with like brand stuff, and then I got into weddings, and then here I am. Can't get out. If you need a wedding photographer, hit me up.
Especially if you're in the U.S. Yeah.
Brodie is an incredible wedding photographer. You gotta check out his stuff. It is awesome.
And you are also a youth pastor full time. Actually, it's actually your full time job. Your creative business has always been, and for the foreseeable future, will continue to be like a side business. And we're going to get into that.
but a super successful side
yeah,
business.
It's
Like
been successful.
it's gonna be cool.
You have done some really cool things. You've shot for the All Blacks in New Zealand, which is a huge deal if you're
Big rugby
in New
team.
Zealand. You like rugby. You just like sports world. Brodie shot for them. Shot for a bunch of brands that All Blacks players have actually owned and started, which has been really cool. Shot for a bunch of clothing companies in New Zealand, and then you started doing weddings, and your weddings just taken off.
Booming.
Yeah, but
He's tons of destination stuff.
yeah.
All
give
that
us
really fun stuff.
give us a flop.
Yeah.
Humanize yourself for a second. What is something
As if
that
you
Brodie
haven't
has
already
done?
humanized yourself.
Yeah.
What is something that Brodie has done?
My whole life in business is a flop.
And you can stare into that camera. Or look at us. Whatever you want to do. Don't worry about that guy over
I
there.
got a couple flops, okay? I think this one, when I first started doing wedding photography, I never backed up the photos from the SD card to a hard drive. And I remember there's this one wedding, and I was just editing. Like, I'd plug the SD, you know the old MacBooks? I'd plug my SD straight into the MacBook, and I would edit through the wedding, and I would delete photos once I would export. Like, I would maybe edit 20 images, and then I would because I had no room on my laptop. I would export the 20 images, and then I would delete the 20 images, and I would just keep going back and forth. And then I realized after like the first 3 or 4 like weddings that I did that I don't have the raw files or couldn't go back and re-edit the images. So that's one flop. And then the second flop I had is recently I was doing this engagement shoot, and this couple had come from out of town, but they were running a little bit late. And so we had planned to do 2 locations to shoot in, but the sun was setting. We only had like 25 minutes until sunset. They were running late because they'd just been coming from out of town. And I remember I was on a phone call with them trying to like be like, we're going to change location, like meet me here type thing. And I'm on this call, and then I see one of my friends who I drive past, and he like waves me down. and he like comes to the car, and I'm a yapper. Like I love talking to people, and so I don't want to make someone feel like they're not seen in the moment, right? And so this guy runs over to me and he starts talking to me, and I just go, bro. I just go, oh, he's like, what are you up to? I said, oh, bro, I've got an engagement shoot that I'm doing right now, but the freaking couple's so late. But that was like my excuse to get out of the conversation with him. I was like, I'm in a rush. I've got to go. The freaking couple's so late. We're going to have no time to even get any good photos. And then we keep, he's like, okay, bro, see you later. I drive off and I look down and I'm still active on the call.
With the couple?
With the couple.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. And so I look down and I'm like, the call's still live. And so I just end the call and I'm panicking. And anyway, they follow me. We get out of the car, and for like 30 minutes, we just had like such a fun shoot. But they probably got into the car after the shoot and were like, that
What
is
a
the
jerk.
fakest photographer we have ever met.
That's pretty bad.
That's bad.
I'm not gonna
So-
lie, that's pretty bad. Okay, Brody, we have some extra rapid fire questions that we normally don't do for our guests, but since
Ooh.
you're our
Here's a
friend,
couple
and
special ones.
we'll
Okay.
spice it up here.
Kiss, marry, kill.
Huh?
You got to pick one to kiss, marry,
yeah.
and kill.
Okay, cool.
Canon, Sony, and Fuji.
Kiss, marry, kill. Kill Canon.
Okay, okay.
Boof. You know what? I would kiss Sony. I shoot Sony, but I would marry Fuji because the X100V is game changer. And if you do not have one, I don't know what you're doing.
You did say that the other day. You were
I
like,
would
I
change.
I could shoot
If I wasn't,
completely on Fuji.
honestly, if I was not like buying a house and I had extra money at the moment, I would just fully trade to Fuji.
Did you know, true or false, did you or did you not have a brand deal with Fuji?
False. They just like would send me products and
That is a brand deal.
Is it?
You got the early release.
I
of
got
the
tell
X100?
that story real quick.
So the X100V was just sold out across the nation, all around the world, right? And
Yeah,
so
when it
I was
first
like,
dropped,
oh,
yeah.
how can I get one? So I just messaged Fuji, and then they followed me, and then they're just like, oh, we'll just send you one, and you can just play with it, and if you like it, you can get it. So I liked it, and I got it, and then I tried to change to those medium format cameras. So I think they sent me like $15,000 worth of gear at one stage. For just like to try out and practice, and I didn't even use it until the last day it was due to go back. I decided to do like a fun shoot. So yeah, I didn't have a brand deal with him, no.
That's a brand
But
deal.
you
Fuji.
did get free cameras for free.
Free cameras.
Okay, what's your signature move when you're on a couple's shoot and they're so awkward? What do you do? Do you have like a signature move? Do you have a signature
I
thing?
think I just get real loud and like and just start screaming and doing weird things.
You make yourself
Like
look
I
like
hype
a
them
fool.
up. I'm the biggest hype man, I reckon. But yeah, I just think the more I can get the couple moving and like laughing with each other and doing weird like goofy stuff, which then turns into epic photos.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my go. So the more I can get
That's
them
your
moving,
superpower.
Yeah.
Being a goofy.
just a
I love
goofy.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into
Let's
it.
get into it. Yeah, keep this thing rolling. So, Brodie, you said you have a funny story on how your business even started, how you got into everything in the first place. Give it to everybody.
Yeah, maybe not as much funny, but just funny because it shouldn't have worked, but it did. Me and Joey went to camp together, so we were friends, and Joey was like, bro, you take some great photos. You should just start a business. And I was like, whatever. But then I found out Joey used to get free stuff all the time. So I was like, this hat company in New Zealand dropped called Good Lids, great hemp hats. Like they're viral in New Zealand now.
Yeah, they're sweet.
And so when they started up, I just slid into their DMs, and all I wanted was free hats. So I just said, hey, I'd love to take some photos for your guys' hats. Like, how about you send me some products and I'll do that? And they were like, well, can you send through your portfolio? I had to Google search what portfolio meant because I had no idea. I had no work. And so I was like, oh, portfolio. Okay. So I rang my friend and I was like, bro, can you come down to the beach in the next 20 minutes, bring a hat with you, and we'll take photos of you wearing this hat. And so what happened was we took photos of him wearing this hat. I sent the photos off to Good Lids, and then Good Lids literally turned around to me and they were like, bro, we love your photos. How much do you charge? And I was like, charge? I just
Google,
want
how much do I
how
charge?
much do I charge? So I was like, I just wanted free hats. And so I messaged Joey, and Joey's like,
I was his Google.
yeah, he was my
Yes.
Google. He's my chat GPT, okay? He's like a robot, this guy. He's
Joey
crazy.
GPT before ChatGPT existed.
He still
Joey
is. He helped me write things, even this letter that I sent off. Anyway, I hope they don't see this. Anyway, I reached out to Joey and he was like, well, you could do a one-off offer or you could do like a retainer with them. And I was like, what's a retainer? So Joey pretty much gave me what I could send through. I sent through this message. I was like, hey, maybe like $200 a month. I'll shoot 15, 20 photos. You send me hats. And so they signed for 6 months. And then after 6 months, it went from $200 a month to like $1,500. I think they did like a $1,500 or like $1,000 shoot or whatever with me. But it was so funny. So the hat company that I shot of my friend wearing the hat to do the portfolio work is a massive clothing company in New Zealand called Rod and Gun.
Mm-hmm.
So I then sent the photos to Rod and Gun and I was like, hey, I just took these photos. If you guys want to use them on social, like, God bless, there you go.
Yeah.
And then Rod and Gun were like, hey, how about you go into store, get $1,000 worth of store credit and like shoot some stuff for us. And then maybe we can tee some stuff up in the future. And so I then all of a sudden was like, this is so easy, like to literally land clients. And so I started just messaging people that own businesses all in my city, like builders. And I would just say my portfolio. I was like, oh, I shoot for Rod and Gun.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everyone was hiring me. And I was like, oh, I built myself a website. And then I was like, I can just build other people's websites. And so I just started selling website. I was selling everything to every man and their dog. And I was like, I had all these retainers going and I couldn't keep up. But that's kind of how the business started.
I love that.
Anyway, from there, I guess where the wedding photography started is same thing kind of happened is a friend, COVID came in and I always wanted to second shoot a wedding to see how it was. And he messaged me the day before his wedding saying, hey, we like your Instagram photos. Would you shoot my wedding? And so I was like, sweet, I'll do it for $1,000. Shot his wedding. I remember I messaged you being like, can you give me a shot list of what I need to get? My camera couldn't autofocus. So I shot my first like 10 weddings, all manual focused.
What?
Literally all manual focused.
Why couldn't your camera?
Bro,
autofocus?
I was
love
on
these stories.
the most budgy Sony camera ever. And I had the Canon adapter because I had a Canon lens on it. And I literally could only manual focus. So my first like 10 weddings were all manual focused. And then I got a Sony camera that could autofocus. And I was like, wait, this is easy.
And a hard drive.
the blurry images are really in style back then.
Yeah.
I know. I thank the Lord.
You actually did kind of pioneer the blurry effect.
So
Actually.
that's kind of how that started. And then all of a sudden people just saw that I was advertising weddings. And I was like, oh, let's start a wedding photography business. And then here I am.
How many weddings do you think you've shot?
I think it'd be close to the Hundy Club, eh?
Yeah,
Wow.
you're probably close
Yeah.
to 100.
Yeah,
That's
Hundy Club for sure.
crazy.
So
And
That's so cool.
what are some of the places that weddings have taken you to shoot?
Yeah.
yeah, North Korea. Okay, sorry. Cut that
You
out.
actually have been in Korea.
I've been to Korea.
You love Korea.
I
Big
love
fan of
Korea.
Hey, if you listen to the show and you're from Korea, hit us up.
Huge
Shoot
shout
us-
out. Korea
shoot us
is,
a
if
DM.
I could live anywhere else other than California, it'd be Korea, South Korea.
Yeah,
The
you love
food
Korea.
and the clothing, everything's gas. But pretty much California is the big one. Texas, and Canada. Shot some weddings in Canada.
Yeah.
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 That's
all
it,
the way
eh?
from
Really?
New
Those three
Zealand.
Yeah, all over New
Those two
Zealand.
countries. All
And
over New
big
Zealand.
hack, if you live in New Zealand, Australia, any of those things, the dollar exchange works
Oh.
out quite nicely.
It's great.
It's clutch.
Yeah, explain
For
it for everybody
USD
that
and
doesn't
CAD.
understand, because there's a lot of Americans that don't ever think about other currencies.
Yeah.
That's
explain
very
that.
true.
So I'm pretty much like what the exchange rate is not double, but it's close.
It's
to
pretty
it.
close.
It's like
pretty
40%,
close.
right?
No, it's more than 40%.
It's more?
I think, yeah.
Yeah. So I go home like I feel like it's more beneficial me shooting weddings here because
yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
shoot a wedding here, I'll get paid a lot more, and then I can edit on the plane ride home, so I don't even have that editing time when I'm
Yeah.
back in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Youth
Super
pastoring.
fast delivery for the client, which
Yeah.
the client loves.
Super
Yeah.
quick. Yeah. Yeah, like the other day, I shot your sister's wedding.
Yeah.
Did the sneak peeks the next day, and then the next night I had the whole wedding sent
Yeah,
to
we
her
flew
because
home
Yeah.
and you edited the whole
on
way
the
home.
plane.
And
Crushed
so
it.
let's say you make $5,000 American on a wedding,
Yeah.
which is pretty standard, industry standard here if you're a
Yeah.
good photographer and you're a great photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
How much is that in New
$8,000,
Zealand?
$9,000.
It's like nearly 9,000, like
Yeah.
$8,500.
Yeah.
And that's like
right?
before flights and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do it that way.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
do it that way, yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
Which is great. So currency, this is for everybody. If you're in Canada, finding ways to benefit off the U.S. market, huge. If you're in the U.S., finding ways to benefit off the European market because their dollar's strong over there.
Mhm.
Like there's so many cool things about currencies. But
yeah.
okay, so the funny thing about your story about you jumping on with those brands early on is that you were like, I have no idea what I'm doing,
Mm,
but I'm just gonna say yes, and I'm just gonna act like I know what I'm doing.
yeah.
What is the what's the reason why people should take a page of that book and just go, I'm just gonna act like I know what I'm doing
Yeah.
and run with it? What are the positives and negatives of that?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people wouldn't do that. They'd be like, I actually don't know what I'm doing. I'm not gonna do this until I know what I'm doing. But unfortunately, like a lot of things in life, you don't really ever learn what you're doing until you've just jumped in full, full clothes, everything wet in the pool.
Just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest, I think I heard this somewhere once. Like, I'd pay, like you talk about it all the time. Like, people want to hire someone that can fix their problems, right?
Yeah.
And so I go, if my car broke down, there is no way that my booty could fix my car.
Your jet ski.
No, my jet ski.
You know how to fix jet skis.
Come
He bought
hit me
one.
up.
It's always
It's
broken.
literally cost me 10 grand in fixing because I just fanged that thing. But anyway, I heard that and I was like, isn't that so true? Like, if I was to build a home, I couldn't do it. Like, I would have to hire a builder. And I go, a lot of people that are running businesses have no idea how to do the creative side, the marketing side, all of that stuff. And so all they're wanting is literally to hire someone that can come in and fix their problems, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that was it at the start for me, is a lot of the brands that signed me on is they had epic product, but their photos didn't talk to that. You know what I mean? Like, their photos didn't showcase how epic their product was. And so
their social presence didn't uphold the quality of their product.
of their product. Yeah. And so that's kind of like, for me, that was the big thing. It was so funny. I this side piece. I remember when I signed the biggest retainer that I've ever done. I was in the Creative Rise Mastermind, and I remember literally like I would just go through and watch the videos. We would jump on a Zoom call as a crew, and then like I would schedule my call with the brand like an hour afterwards because my brain would just be fresh, and I just taken notes of what you guys were saying. And I would literally like copy and paste what you had just taught me 1 hour ago. And I would say it to the client and they were just like mind blowing. Like, I remember that. I remember I was sitting down with like.
You were crushing those retainers during that.
Describe
season.
what
It was so
retainer
cool.
this was. Because what was the cost on this retainer? What was the price?
It was big. So I think I started like, for me, I done a shoot for this brand for free. I don't want to say who it is.
You don't have to say who it is.
You're a scammer. Because
No.
I'm not a scammer. I made them money. Okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you
You don't have
crushed
to
it.
say.
for
You don't have
this
to say
band,
the brand. Just like
So-
what the deal was. Like the
Yeah,
deal.
so the way the deal worked is I shot for free, and then I must have been like, hey, I reached out to the owner saying, hey, can we like jump on a call or something? I've got this epic idea for your business, for your brand. And we jumped on this call, and he's sitting there being like, I've listened to podcasts for week after week after week, and you've given me more value in the last 20 minutes than what these podcasts have. And I was like,
Amazing.
Creative Rise, let's go. And
What were you saying to them? Like, what was the
Yeah.
value? Can you remember what you were telling
I
them
just,
that the brand
all
owner
honesty,
thought it was
this is
so
what
good?
I did to their brand. I made their brand. This is so bad. I feel like I just made their brand seem stupid and silly. Like, I was just like,
it gave a
you-
personality.
like, I was just like, you guys have got such an incredible product, but your social media is not like talking to that. Like I said earlier, right? And so, for me, I just went after a pain point in their business, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I noticed that you guys suck online, but we could actually be incredible if we
Yeah.
partnered together. And so we'd built trust because I did this
Free
like a
shoot.
free shoot
Yeah.
like 6 months prior, whatever. And was constantly in the DMs, responding to stories, all that stuff. But
Mhm.
I pretty much offered them. I was like, hey, which I also learned in Creative Rise, is that when you offer something or you try to sell yourself, just make sure that you offer something else that's bigger and better, right? Because all they're going to do is they're not going to go compare you to another photographer, but they'll compare you
To
yeah,
yourself.
your own
two
prices,
offers.
right? And so
yeah.
I think I said, hey, what I'll do is for $1,500, I'll give you 30 images a month. And then the next package was like, but for $2,000, for $500 more, I'll give you, but it's a retainer, 6 months. I'll give you like 30 images, 5 Instagram reels, and like an idea on how you can post your content so that there's a constant theme on your social media.
Yeah.
And so I then jump on the Zoom call with these guys, and they were like, oh my gosh, that sounds incredible. And then they were like, you mentioned you used to do social media management. How much would you charge for that? And so I said, what I'll do, I have to send you through a separate quote for that. And so what I did, we ended the call, and I called my friend down the road who did social media management.
Yes, I
found
remember
out
this.
that she did it for like $1,000 a month at the time or something crazy. And so I then like tripled that price and hired her to do the social media management. And then long story short, the retainer worked out to be $6,500 a month
Crazy.
It's
Um,
crazy.
out of
Crazy.
nowhere.
$72,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that you
Yeah.
had that retainer for quite a while.
Yeah.
You
I
Yeah.
had
worked
that
with
for
those guys for a while. That was
Awesome.
a great partnership you
Great,
guys had built.
great
You
partnership.
became great friends with them.
Yeah. And I think for me, like, it was great. It was fun. I'm just the kind of dude that like gets like this sounds terrible, but I get bored quick. So I'm like,
Yeah.
once I win the bag, I'm like, okay, what's next? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I want the next big thing.
Yeah,
Like
I get
short-term
that.
projects
I
are
get
really
that.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Talk about how it works because you are like almost a full-time youth pastor
Yeah.
in addition to running your own business. And how many weddings are you doing a year that you try to like keep it under?
Yeah. I'm like keeping it under 20.
Under 20, but 20 is still like
What
a
was your max
full-time
year? How
wedding
many
year.
weddings was your max year?
Well, all honestly, probably my max year was like close to 30 maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's
like high
like that's a
20s.
full-time wedding photographer,
That's
but
definitely full time.
you're doing it alongside another job
a very
that you're like
full-time
very
other job.
passionate about and
Yeah.
everything like that. How do you balance those two things? Like what advice would you give to somebody who's like, "Hey, I actually want to keep my business as quote unquote a side hustle, but I want to make good money off of it." Like how do you balance the two things? How do you optimize a side hustle if you've got another thing you're passionate about doing?
Yeah. I think you just have to be intentional with like your days and what your week looks like, right? So for me, I was honestly like it wasn't necessarily doable. Like the amount of weddings I was shooting back then to now, like I've taken on more hours at the church doing as a youth pastor, and I can't be shooting weddings every weekend for the next 20 weeks. Like it's just not
Yeah.
doable for me. And so the way I made it doable to also still make the same amount of money is I had to get to a place where I had to raise my prices really.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I was intentional with my day. So like Monday was like a day that I would give fully to photography where I was like shooting back to back. So I'd work a full-time week and then I would edit everything on a Monday and I would have 1 week returns at the start. Like I was getting galleries
Which
back.
is amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Cause I just
good
did,
turnaround.
I was like the kind of dude that's like, if I get backlogged on a couple weddings, like
It's not going to get done because
it'll
you're so
never
busy.
get
Yeah.
done. Right.
Yeah.
And
You
and
don't-
you got to
actually-
clear your card for the next
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
Yes,
You actually didn't
yes.
have the you didn't have
I
the
know,
luxury.
that's literally why, because I was like, I need to restore all the SD cards before next Saturday. I'm not even kidding. I only had like 3 SD cards, and I was just restoring them all. And I was like, Thursday night, I'm like, Friday night, I'm like editing after youth group. Like, it's like 3 a.m. Saturday morning. I'm like, oh, I've got to get this done because if I don't get this done, I literally can't shoot it.
shoot the
One of my favorite flops, literally legit. One of
And
my
so,
favorite flops.
yeah, I think you just have to be intentional with time. And for me, like, I still want to have a good work-life balance. I don't really have that because I just go hard with the youth pastoring stuff and this stuff.
Yeah.
But for me, I think I got to a position where people were beginning to hire me like this, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was literally the guy of, like, not to say I was the guy of the town, but my prices were affordable to people.
Yeah.
They loved my work. And I was like well known in my area. So people were like, let's hire this guy.
Yeah.
And so I got to a
Well,
place.
you've got a great product and a great service too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so that's what I did. I think, I don't know if that really answers the question, but I got to a position where, yeah, I have to still be intentional with my weeks and like lay out what my week looks like. But I want to take on less, but still make the same amount of money, if not more. And so the only way I could do that is to take less clients, but raise my pricing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I even like the balance thing of like, hey, my Mondays are for photography. Like at least I can fall into the trap of like, oh, I'll work on this for this hour and then I jump to a completely different thing and then I jump back and forth and we talk about the cost of transition all the time and how
The
it weighs on
tax.
you and
Yeah,
the tax on
of
transition.
transition. Yeah.
And so I even think if like, if you've got like a full-time job or something, as much as you can of like, okay, I'll try to take this full day off to work on this thing. I think that's super cool.
Super cool. And I think it's so doable for like, especially wedding photographers. I'm like, you should be able to edit a wedding in one day. Like,
Yeah, 100.
whether it's a 5-hour day,
100%.
10-hour
Yeah,
day.
photo for sure.
Whatever it
For
is.
sure.
And so I was even another thing I was doing at one stage that I tested out is I would like, if I wanted to edit the wedding in a week, but I had a full on week, I would get up an hour early each day
Yeah.
and I would do, okay, this morning I'm going to tackle out the boys prep. Tuesday
Yeah.
morning, girls prep.
Chunk out the wedding
Wednesday
day.
ceremony.
Yeah, that's
you know what I
cool.
mean? I just
Yeah.
went doof. And then by the time I got to Friday, it was like, oh, you've just finished the wedding. And all it took was 1 hour each
1
day.
hour a day.
Yeah, smart.
That's true.
Yeah.
I
That's
love
awesome. Okay, so you talked about raising your prices. How do you have like a
How and when?
strategy? When do you raise your prices? Do you always send out the same prices? Do you mix it up? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. I haven't, like, to be completely honest, I haven't raised my prices in probably like a
Too
year,
long.
2 years maybe.
Too long.
Like too long.
2 years too long.
But I also think like the market in New Zealand is so completely different to here.
Yeah.
Right? Like people are pretty budge. They don't want to spend much. But in New Zealand, I had this, like we have GST, right? So I had to add on GST to my prices once I started making over the $60,000 mark. And so that was massive because that's 15% of what my sale price was, right? And so for me, I like tax is all included in New Zealand, but all my pricing isn't. So I go, this is the price plus GST. I'm like, I'm not the reason for GST.
Yeah.
No, yeah, of course.
I'm not
It's
going to take
me.
on that.
But yeah, for me, I think I got to a position where I was like, I think this is fair, right? Like for me, I'm big on that. Like I'm buying this house and I put in an offer today and I go, I believe that's a fair offer for this house.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so for me as a wedding photographer who's somewhat well established, I go, oh, my rates, like I think they're fair for people.
Yep.
And like, cool, some people can't afford me. And I'm like, womp womp, sucks to suck. But if you can, like,
You're going to
I
get the
noticed
best
it.
experience
you'll
ever.
get the best experience ever. And
Which you really do give.
yeah. And so, yeah, I think raising your pricing is like nerve wracking. But for me, I remember in the Creative Rise, you guys were talking about it. I don't know if it was like the 30%, like if you should be booking 30% of your inquiries.
Of your inquiries, yeah. Yeah,
And
we typically say like 4 to 6 out of 10. If you're booking
Yeah.
anything higher than like 4 to 6,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you're booking 7, 8 people out of 10 that inquire with you,
You're too cheap.
odds are 3
Too
to
cheap.
5 of them definitely would have paid.
Yeah.
If your prices were 40% higher, 3 to 5 of them probably would have paid, and you'd be doing less work for the same amount of money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we were having this conversation when I was here a couple years ago, and I was like, okay, I feel like everyone's saying yes to me. Like I was like the yes man, and it was like, okay. And I was like, well, I want someone to say no. Like I like that.
Yeah.
So I
Chasing a
decided,
no, baby.
I chased it up. I was like, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
and you're right. You're so right. Like I'm still booking like 30-40% of
Yeah.
who inquires anyway. So
And that's like such a sweet spot, especially if you've been in business for years. I love that. That's great. How many packages do you offer when someone reaches out to you for a wedding?
So weddings, I have 3 packages: a 6-hour package, an 8-hour package, and a 10-hour package.
Cool.
Are you in Super 8 stuff too?
Super
Because you
8
have
too.
Super 8 add-ons.
Yeah.
So I have a Super 8 add-on. I'll tell you this hack. I also have a film add-on, but my film add-on is just literally I bring my X100V to the wedding. So there's an option.
Yeah.
Like you can pay $200 a roll for film. That might
Mhm.
sound expensive. That's probably like 120 USD because in New Zealand the roll of film costs $50, and then it
Mhm.
costs like
Processing
$50
it,
to
yeah.
pro. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm literally like, oh, I'm only making $100 off this. Plus, I'm like, if I can work a proper film camera, like, you guys are winning, you know?
Yes.
So I just sell my X100V for like $650 extra. So if someone's, I give them the option where if they say, we want a film add-on, I'll be like transparent. I'm like, hey, costs $200 a roll, or I have this camera that replicates film,
Yep.
and I can edit like film on this camera. Like, what do you know? And 9 times out of 10, people just want the X100V. They're like, we love those film
Absolutely.
photos.
Yeah,
yes.
which they should.
And they
'cause
just
it's
think
so
they
much
think they're
better.
film.
Which they
And-
should.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
the same with the Super 8. I got a cheap Super 8 package at the moment. And it was
Yeah.
just I just literally was pretty much doing it for free at the start because I was like, I just want this to pay back the camera that I just paid for. But
Yeah.
but now people want
Totally.
it.
Do
right?
you feel
So-
like people book add-ons on almost every wedding you do? Like, are add-ons really
Yeah.
popular for you?
like the most popular add-on would be the film add-on for
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do that at most weddings.
sure. Yeah.
That's, I think, a missed opportunity that I think a lot of wedding photographers don't do, is that you can have these really simple add-ons that you're like, I would have
Very
already,
simple.
I maybe would have already done this
Probably
anyways.
gonna
Like,
shoot the Fuji.
maybe would have
anyways.
already shot on my
I would
Fuji,
like
Yeah,
or
always shoot
like,
the
oh,
Fuji.
some Polaroids, or like, I don't know, like fun
The real-
add-ons
the-
like
the-
that,
the
or like even
content creation
iPhone
was
content
big.
creation.
That was like one of my packages that I made. Like, how can I make my package slightly better? The 6 to 8 hour, but then like the value is like way higher and better. And all I did
Mhm.
was like, oh, I'll make a 1 Instagram reel of the highlights of your day.
That's in your 8-hour package.
That
you're
was
saying?
in my 8-hour
Yeah.
package, and then I just forgot to sometimes film at weddings, and so I cut it.
another flop. Another
I was
flop.
like, oh, okay. So about that reel, that was
Can you send me some
discontinued in
footage?
2020.
Oh my god.
That is
So
hilarious.
what are your prices in New Zealand now, and then what are your prices typically when you're over here?
Yeah, when you're doing destination.
Yeah.
Just so that wedding people can get a ballpark on kind of where
Ballpark.
you're at.
Yeah, so I think off the top of my head, like a 6-hour package is like $4,500.
Cool.
The 8-hour is $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
It has like prints that is included with it.
Yep.
And then the 10-hour is like nearly $7,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a second photographer, prints, and then just 10 hours, and then
Yeah.
an album too.
Cool. And then
Sweet.
when you fly overseas and you do destination weddings,
Yeah.
you charge in USD most
Yeah.
of the time. It's like $5,000 flat.
Yeah, it's
typically.
been like $5,000 flat, at
which
the
is
moment.
huge for you.
Yeah.
Translating it into
Oh,
Kiwi
yeah.
Yeah, if
dollars.
you translate it, like I said, that's like 2 6-hour packages done. You
Yeah,
know?
in
And I
one
get to
day.
have a fun trip, hang out with you guys. Great.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. When you are quoting, like, let's say you tomorrow got a destination inquiry elopement, or not elopement, a destination wedding inquiry in like Colorado or something like that. Would you incorporate the travel fee into the cost of the wedding package, or do you like to keep them separate? Like, do you say, hey, here's my packages, and then travel fees will be on top of that? Do you like to loop it in? What's your preference?
Yeah. In the past, I've just been like, here's 5,000 flat. I'll cover the travel, all that expense, whatever.
Yeah.
What's your reason for that? Is it because you're just making such a good amount on the exchange that you're just like,
The exchange,
got
and
it.
it just makes it clear and easy because I hear that most wedding photographers here like are starting at the 5,000 mark, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it's pretty
Like the
standard.
good ones, like it's pretty
Yeah.
standard.
Yep.
And so I go, where's my point of difference? Is he's covering his flight. Like we're getting an international photographer, and it's not even costing us to. What I've done also with another wedding in the past is that they were like, oh, we can't quite afford the $5,000, but then I was like, well, can you pay for my flights too? Like, and they had air points, so they just covered all the flights.
Oh, that's good.
And then
yeah.
they paid like close to $5,000 anyway. And so it
Mhm.
worked out better because I came for literally 3 days. I flew 12 hours, shot the wedding, left 2 days later.
I remember that.
That was good. That was
insane.
actually, I would do that. That's
was
how
that
I
in
would do
SoCal?
it. That was in
a SoCal wedding?
SoCal,
Okay,
Laguna,
Yeah.
Laguna Beach.
Laguna
So,
wedding. Sick.
so but
Crazy.
now I'd probably moving forward, like I would be like, oh, it's probably five, if not. I'd probably raise my pricing after talking with you guys this last week.
Yeah.
We were trying to tell you to raise it a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Is I'd probably raise it, and then I would probably have a travel fee on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
out of town. Like, here's epic because these guys let me stay at their house for free and we have fun. We eat out every night, all that stuff. But if I'm in like Colorado, I'm like, I got no friends in Colorado. Right? And
Yes.
the altitude is high, so I'd be struggling to breathe there anyway.
Get your puffer.
Get
your
the puffer out.
puffer.
Embarrassmatic.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's great. I
Okay.
love that.
I love it. What's
awesome.
your let's switch back to kind of the brand conversation here. So you started in brands, you then went to weddings. You've kind of bounced back and forth a little bit. What's your advice for people in the brand world that are wanting to shoot their first wedding? What's the difference and what's the transition look like there? Just like real quick, how can someone go from shooting brands to shooting their first wedding or booking out a full wedding season?
Yeah. I mean, people don't know what you do unless you promote it and sell it, right? So I think for me, I couldn't start shooting weddings until I shot a wedding. I tell this to like young photographers in my city or people that will. I'm not on the gram as much anymore, but people would always message, "Oh, I'd love to second shoot, or I'd love to know how to start." And I'm just like, man, I started because I sold a wedding for $1,000.
Yeah.
That's literally like 600 USD.
Mhm.
And so for me, it was just like, as soon as I shot that wedding, I promoted that wedding. And then I would also DM people when they got engaged at the start. So it was
Yeah.
easy, like that transition. But people love to work with people that they're familiar with and that they know exist, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's this for me, I'm like, if you wanted to go from brands to wedding photography, I would find a friend that's getting married and just be like, hey, I'm willing to shoot your wedding for free or for $1,000 or whatever,
Yeah.
just to help get my portfolio started.
Yeah.
You could also charge higher. Like, it's so funny. The guy whose wedding I shot for $1,000, I was scared he was going to say no to the $1,000. And
Totally.
He was like, we were going to pay $5.5 grand for this other girl. I was like,
You're like, actually, can I go for
when
the
I'm
5
manual focused that whole wedding and you pay me $1,000. Okay. And so
Yes.
I think that's the transition bridge there. And I think it's the same from my experience from weddings back to brands is like, man, I'm a big relational dude. And so the brands that I end up loving working with and the ones that hire me are the ones that I have a relationship with. And
Yeah.
so a lot of the time, like that big retainer that you said that
Yeah.
I was getting on a $6.5 grand a month,
Yeah.
literally came from me just having a relationship, being in the DMs, saying, hey, I'll shoot like your product for free, all of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Building
you
trust.
just became super valuable.
Something
yeah.
something that I feel like I've noticed that you do really well is that I feel like you really infuse your personality into your brand and also into like wedding days. Like I feel like a lot of people feel like they need to be this professional vendor that shows up in a black shirt
Yeah.
and like they're just no personality, sort of like I'm just getting it done and that's it. And and like I just need to be professional, you're like very not professional in the best way.
You're looking for an unprofessional photographer, hire me.
No, but you come in, you're like, oh, I'm gonna wear my pink cropped shirt. And I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna like be hilarious with not like cropped
Kiwi
like
dad.
that.
Dissing my fashion sense.
It's better
taste
than when
now.
you wear white. But when you come up and you actually are fully yourself, like you're loud, you're fun, like you
Yeah.
just go in and people love it. And then all of a sudden the whole bridal party is hiring you to come back to California to
Yeah.
shoot their weddings because not just because of your great work, but because of the
No,
personality.
it's
like
more what you, the essence.
yes.
Yeah.
And the aura of like you on the wedding
aura.
day.
The
This
aura.
guy's aura farming on the wedding day.
But seriously, like if you feel like you've got a really big personality, like if you're listening and you're like, sometimes I feel like I need to tamper down who I am or my personality or whatever. Like this may sound just like dumb advice,
Don't
but it's
do
like,
it.
don't do it. Like
do
be
it.
loud, be funny,
Be you.
just be exactly who you are because people will actually want to tell their friends to hire you again simply because they just like you, right?
Yeah,
Like
how
that's
they
a
felt.
huge,
It's the feeling.
huge aspect of
Exactly.
And then
weddings.
when you deliver weddings 3 days later, a week later,
Yes,
that's just the cherry on
that
top.
really helps.
Yeah,
It
which
is, and
great.
I mean that was an add-on that I used to have. Was the 1 week turnaround was like $1,000
Yeah.
extra or something.
Yeah.
But on that, yeah, I think like me, like I genuinely love people and I love connecting with people, and so for me, I'm like, I'm not even like, or I love the aura farming thing, but I don't get to a wedding and I'm like, oh, how can I be so fun for this bridal party that they all hire me?
Yeah, no.
No.
I'm just rocking up and I like I'm real intentional. I'll get in the door and I'll try to remember everyone's name. And then for the rest of the day, I have people's names hopefully on lock. And then all I'm doing is just building connection, making
Yeah.
someone feel seen and loved.
Yeah.
And then when they see my work, some people really like it. And they're like, he has great photos and he was kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I remember I first downloaded my like price PDF thing, like off those wedding photographers, Jai Long or whatever his name
Mhm.
was.
Oh, like a pricing
A
guide.
pricing guide or something.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
remember
Jai
it.
Long, yeah.
I remember it said something along the lines of like, "Oh, if you want us to be the big loud entertainer or the person in the background that you can't see, we're here to best serve you." Like I'm kind of similar. I'm like, man, I can be chill, but I'm like, hey, I'm here to help. Like, make sure your day's the funnest day possible. Make
Yeah.
sure that you stay on time with things, but make sure that the experience is something that you'll cherish for the rest of your life. And so
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, people get that when they get on a Zoom call with me. They're like, I almost know this. If I can get someone who's inquiring on a Zoom call within like the week,
Done deal.
I know that I can literally sell them straight away
Yeah.
because they just catch like who I am as a
Yep.
person,
Mhm.
and they're like, yeah, we vibe. And then some people are like, you're a bit too much. We don't want you.
What's your process on a Zoom call? What's your process on a sales call?
Yeah.
A bride inquires.
Yeah.
How
So
are
I'm
you,
bad.
How are you getting on the call?
Everyone uses Honeybook and all those things or whatever, Studio Ninja.
Oh,
I
just
have
CRM, yeah.
nothing. So I'm really bad. And I thought about hiring someone to do it. So sometimes I remember I would leave people like like a couple of weeks. I had this one wedding and they like changed their date for me. And then I was going to have 3 weddings on the same day and I was just going to get associate shooters. And I just totally missed the email. And then anyway, I'm bad with the email side. But if I can lock
Sounds
it,
like you do
usually
need to
I
hire
do want to,
somebody.
like my ideal process is like respond straight away. Hey, make it somewhat personal, like stoked you got engaged, like how epic that you're getting married here, here, and here. But I make it, you guys called me out on how I was emailing people because it gave people too much an opportunity to not hire me. So it was like, I then in my emails now, at the bottom of my email be like, hey, I'm free this time, this week. Let me know what time works to jump on a call and just to see if we're the right match.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Boom, get them on a Zoom call. And then I have no process. All I have is my price guide, which outlines everything already.
Yeah.
Right. But all I'm doing is I have that open with me and then I just literally jump on a Zoom call and I'm just like big on like getting to know the couple first. So I'll spend the first 15 minutes like, tell me about yourself, how you met, how you proposed, all that stuff, what your dream wedding's looking like. And then from there, I'll just ask them, do you have any questions around my packages? And usually they don't have any questions because my
Yeah.
guide is so clear.
What are some of the
Yeah.
things you have in your guide
So my guide
that
is like,
answer the questions that you think people are probably having coming in, but it's answering them?
yeah, can I pull it out? Is that
Yeah,
fine?
yeah,
I
pull it
don't
out.
actually know it off by heart.
Yeah. You're like, I made it 3 years
Like
ago.
the
Yeah, pull
first
it
one
out.
is just an intro because like no one knows what I look like, so they're like, "Oh, he's ugly. We're not hiring." So it's like, this is me. My big thing is like turning moments into memories and the whole thing of like, cool, I'm here to capture something that you can look back and hopefully the photos take you back to the moment in years
Yeah.
to come, right?
Cliche.
I make it very cliche.
Yeah.
I love it.
Living into it.
It's all about you, and then my packages, and then my add-ons. it's real clear. So I have like, this is how much it costs for domestic travel. This is how much it'll cost for international travel. This is how much engagement photos are, but you get a discount if you hire me for your wedding. And then the process is real easy. So it's let's meet up on Zoom. Let's secure your date. Let's start the planning process. And then it's your wedding day. You get your sneak peeks within 48 hours, usually 24. And then the frequently asked questions is, do you photograph internationally? Of course. Do I photograph elopements? Yes. How many photos will I receive? How will I receive my photos? What happens if a disaster strikes? I think that's the big one for international weddings. I remember I was here about a year ago and I just shot the wedding literally 2 days ago. And they were like, what happens if you somehow don't get into the country or if you die? And Christy just happened to overhear it and she was like, I will shoot it. I will shoot it.
I'll shoot it for you.
So I was like, oh, I've got my backup shooter, Christy. She's all right. And so that's kind of like it, but it's real, like just clear. Payment plan. What if I had to cancel my booking? It's real clear in that too. And then my contract is so basic and so clear too. It's got like 10 points.
Yeah, simple.
Yeah, I love
clear,
a simple contract.
and fun.
To the point.
Yeah.
Because people also have no idea what a wedding looks like and what's expected and how to pay and all of that stuff. It's also clear on this, and then it's also clear in my contract.
Yeah, that's great. I love it.
So we're currently sitting in our house. Christy and I bought this house in 2023 in California. Real estate market in New Zealand is also pretty expensive. That's an expensive place to buy a home. You just submitted an offer 30 minutes ago. Yeah. A really good offer on house, and you're going to be hearing back in the next couple hours on if you actually got this house. We're kind of like all jacked up about it all day. You are 26 years old.
27.
27 now?
That's the ugly age.
You just turned 27. What does it look like to manage your money in a way where you can actually be in a position to buy a house? Because so many people our age go, I'll never buy a house. It's way too expensive. And a lot of people actually think I shouldn't go into entrepreneurship because I'll never buy a house that way.
Yeah.
And here's the three of us sitting here. We own a house. You're very close, potentially in a couple hours, going to be owning a house. And if not this one, you're going to be gutted, but definitely the next one.
Yeah.
What does it look like to actually put yourself in a position to buy a house financially? What are some of the things you do with your finances that have put you in the spot where you've got a significant down payment saved up and you're approved to get a house?
Yeah, I'm really, like, I spend a lot of money. You guys know this. I eat out dinner, lunch, breakfast every day. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I would spend at least $100 a day on food. Because I take people out, and I love, for me, I love taking people out.
It's kind of part of your job.
Yeah.
It's part of my job.
Youth pastor, right?
So my youth pastor job, what I realized is the church were wanting to hire me full-time for so long, but I was like, nah, I'll do part-time so they can do the photography thing. I was doing full-time hours, but I was getting paid part-time. So I was like, sweet.
Of course.
Let's transition that. So all my, like, church income would get spent pretty within the weeks, you know, like I'm living paycheck to paycheck with that. Yeah. But all my photography stuff,
because you're spending it on actually doing your job,
doing my job,
taking kids out.
That's why I do this,
kids.
the wedding photography. So then I can now say, but pretty much most of my photography stuff is all straight into savings straight away, and I can't touch it. Like it's literally going straight into an account. But yeah, I guess in terms of taking the next step for people that are maybe listening or watching and are going, I don't know if I can start this business. I don't know if I can do that thing. I just go YOLO. Like literally you only live once. And there's what's that quote? It's like you miss 100% of the shots that you don't
Wayne Gretzky.
take.
Yeah.
Michael
Right?
Scott,
and
Wayne
I go,
Gretzky.
man, I'm so glad that I took the shot. I never in my life thought that I'd ever make over $70,000 in any job. And like within like my first year or 2 years, I was on like 6 figures just from the photography stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, I think the game's easy. Like it's fun. Like it's, I like the chase. I like it. But I go, man, like I go, if I was to lose out, say I was to start a new business tomorrow and I go, I lose $10,000. I also go, what is $10,000 in 5 years time? To me, it's nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in 5 years, it's nothing. And so I think it's worth just sending it and backing yourself. But then also being smart financially. Like for me, I'm dumb, but I'm also smart because I have another job that fuels my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then I have this, which I'm putting away to then hopefully purchase a home, you know?
Which is
like,
so cool because a lot of people would go, oh, I have like 6 figures of income that's coming in pre-expenses that I just can go blow on whatever. But you've actually been like literally putting it aside. And that's why you're like ready to buy a home, which is incredible.
Is your savings account for your home down payment, is it actually an external account? Like it's not attached to your normal bank account?
No, it's all attached. So I said I can't touch it, which is actually kind of a lie because
You
I
could
just
transfer it if
transfer
you
my
want
could,
to.
accounts.
yeah.
But
So you're
I kind
saying
of
you've
divvied
told
it up.
yourself,
Like
you built a perspective in your head where you're like, this is not money to spend.
this is not. But I had someone in my church that's an accountant, and they sat me down and they helped me budget one day, and pretty much they just set up like 5 accounts. So it was like, here's what you can give this week. Here's what you can like save this week. Here's what you can spend on food this week, and here's what you can spend on gifts. And I had this thing where all this money was getting transferred, and then this is actually a saving hack for me. I'll never have my I had this one season where I would not have my money accessible like on my Apple Pay. So every time I went to go do Apple Pay, my card would decline most times, and then I'd be like, oh, I have to transfer $17.50 for that sandwich.
Oh.
And so for me, I had this mentality where I was like, it's because we don't
it hurts
think,
every time you have to spend
we
money.
literally don't think when we double tap on the side of our phone and go beep.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Of
You know
course.
what I mean? Well,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yes.
Some people
Yes.
do. But for me, I was like, oh, I'll be intentional with that. And so it made me think about everything I was buying now.
Yeah.
Once I'd set
Yeah.
up these different funnels and stuff. But
Yeah.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if you're looking for easy, for everybody listening, if you're looking for easy percentages, Christy and I talk about this all the time. The 6-figure money management plan Christy and I built years ago. We've been operating off it. It's the only reason why we have a house, why we've got
Yeah.
a bunch of money in the markets and some other real estate investments and stuff outside of our business. We've got money to invest in our business. It's because every dollar we earn immediately, and I'll give you what the percentages we use, and then I'll tell you what percentages you should probably start with. But we worked our way up to every dollar we earn, 30% goes into a fund immediately called Future Investments, which is like a savings fund. It's actually a high yield savings account that we have with American Express. 30% of every dollar we make goes in there, and that's not touched. That is money that we are using for future house purchases, future investment purchases, future big investments back into our business, things that are going to actually program our financial future to be stable. 30% goes to that. 10% right off the top goes into a giving account that Christy and I give from. And then we've got 20% goes to a tax account that we use to pay our taxes, even though we pay way less than 20% on taxes at the end of the year. Once we utilize all of our tax strategy stuff, and that money is then left over to go into our future investments fund. And then we put 7.5% into a rainy day fund. So if any emergencies come up, anything like that comes up, we can use that fund to pay for stuff. So you're asking, well, what do I use to live on and pay for all my business expenses? You're using the remaining like 40% of what we earn is what we actually live off and what we operate our business off. Now, those are percentages I say you should work up to. They're quite high for a lot of people. So to get started, you could start at 15% to your future investments, 15% to taxes, 10% to a giving account if you want to be someone who's charitable, be generous, and 7.5% to a rainy day fund until you have about 3 to 6 months of adequate business and living expenses saved up. Then you can stop putting 7.5% into that. But that is what we do. That way you're putting away that percentage of money and living on about 60-70% of your money there. But that is really important. It's the only reason why Christy and I are in the position we are in. You can make a lot of money being a self-employed and creative. You can make a lot of money. You can make multiple 6 figures a year, and you can have nothing at the end. Nothing to show for it if you do not have a plan to manage your money. So
I love watching creatives buy houses. I just think it's
dude.
so
Congratulations!
sick. So I'm so
I
excited.
can't wait. We're gonna celebrate with some sushi tonight.
We are.
Oh yeah, well that's that rainy day fund.
That's
tap
coming out
into
of the
that.
rainy day.
It's
Well, Brodie, it's been so fun having you on the podcast. We have a signature end question that we like to ask everybody, and it's why is it worth it? Like, why is it worth it for somebody to build a business, whether they have a full-time job and they're building a side hustle or they're trying to make their art their full-time thing? Like, why is it worth it to break the creative struggle and really go for it?
Yeah. Well, it's great to be financially free.
That's true.
That's true.
My big thing, like, I do what I do because I just love people. I love others. And so probably the biggest thing for me is I just go, it's worth it for me because the more I make, the more I can help, the more I can do for God's kingdom, really.
Yeah.
That's kind of my
The
thing.
more you
So
can give.
the more you can give.
Yeah. Also, the more you make outside of your current job,
Yeah.
you being bivocational, you can still support your
What
role
I
in the
do.
church. You
Right,
can actually
yeah.
financially
Yeah.
support yourself to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which is
So
incredible.
cool.
Working with youth, building into young people,
So great.
supporting them.
And it's worth it, man. I go, like, I will say this to the day I die. I'm living the dream. Like, I love youth pastoring, but I also love like photography, wedding photography, being a part of people's special day. And so for me, like it's worth it because like my life does not feel like I ever work. And so
Love
is that like, yeah.
That's it. Hey, where
I
can
love
people
that.
find you that want to hang out? And
Yeah,
follow
where can they
along?
follow along?
You can find me on Tinder. No, you can't. You can't actually.
He is actively single. Looking
Actively
for
single.
A potential female in the United States.
No,
of
definitely
America.
a female in the
California girls only.
Cali girls only. Green card. You can be my second shooter. I won't use any of your photos. Every time I hire a second shooter, I never use their photos
You
because
serious?
I already overshoot. I shot 11,000 photos yesterday.
That's true. You do shoot so many photos.
Yeah. So
And then
What's
you
your
came home. You
Instagram
came home that
handle?
same night and
What's
called
your
me
Yeah,
the whole
Instagram
way.
2000.
handle?
my Instagram handle is at Brodie McDowell Weddings. I deactivated my other account because I spent too much time scrolling on Reels. But that's how you can
So now
find
he
me.
just spends time
You
scrolling
should
on
hire
Reels.
me. I can guarantee you that your wedding day will be like pretty fun. And we'll
amazing.
both be stoked.
I love it.
Bro,
Well,
thanks
thanks
for
for
being
being
on.
here.
Oh, double,
double.
yeah. We got a double, man. Oh my douche. You get that?
Hey, thanks for being on, bro. Guys, thank you for listening today. If this episode was
Yes.
helpful, make sure you go share it with somebody. And Brodie talks a lot about the mastermind. If you have not yet considered jumping on into the next round 14 of
Just
the
do
6-week
it, bro.
Creative
You'll
Rise
literally,
Mastermind.
I'm going to cut you off. Your booty will make back that money that you spent on the mastermind within the first week. No cap. Okay?
No
And
cap.
to back that up, you had booked some weddings, and you also booked a $6,000 per month retainer while you're in the mastermind.
Mastermind.
So
Which-
if you want to jump
yeah.
into the mastermind, you get on the wait list.
Just
It's
do
coming
it.
this fall. CreativeRise.com.
Yep, you'll get all
Bunch
the
of
info
stuff.
there.
All of it's there. And we'd love to see you in the fall round. But anyways, thanks for being here, Brodie. You're awesome.
Thank you.
And maybe we'll have
catch
you
you guys
on
soon.
next time you're in California.
Go share the spot with a friend, guys, for anybody you think, anybody else that could benefit from it. And
Yep.
we'll catch you next week. See you guys.
Bye, everybody.
I'm going to poo my pants. That'd be good. That'd be good. Little ending.
We're going to keep that in.
We're going to keep that
I'm
in.
gonna poo my
All right, guys.
That's
See ya.
Brodie.